like to start off by saying thank you all for your hard work during these proceedings, and I know that there's been a lot of testimony and a lot of evidence to consider. And having said that, though, I think we can all appreciate that unlike a lot of other trials and unlike a lot of other juries, we're fairly lucky because in a lot of cases the facts aren't that clear, and there can be endless debate just about what happened. And in this case, there's not that much of a debate. It's fairly clear what it is that happened. Miss Betty Oops, she had two very bad falls, two tragic falls that resulted in very, very, very bad injuries. And there's no doubt that these things occurred. What is debatable, however, is who is responsible for these things. And while Miss Oops and her attorneys would make the argument that my client's Omass should be held responsible for the tragedies that have befallen her, that the fact of the matter is that Omass cannot be held responsible. They're in no way liable. Now, it is true that every business holds a responsibility to its customers, that if they're going to invite them onto the property to conduct business, that they need to guarantee the safety that every customer deserves. You don't say, hey, let's make a deal, and then as soon as they get on the property, any horrible thing can happen. That's not how anyone does business, and it's contrary to the public welfare. But the fact of the matter is that Omass has done everything they could to guarantee that the environment was safe. They've had a consistent schedule of workers coming by sweeping the floors. They've consistently had someone walking up and down the aisles to make sure that it's clean. They've done everything that the law requires in order to guarantee a safe environment. What happened on Easter Sunday a year ago is nothing more than a very horrible tragedy, a terrible twist of fate, perhaps. And what happened recently, a few months ago, with her broken leg, well, that didn't even happen on Omass property. That happened at the church. And what with her extensive activities that she engaged in, her cage fighting, her ballroom dancing, tending to everyday family needs, which I'm sure everyone here can agree is quite strenuous alone. Just taking care of a family would be enough to be causing all sorts of aches and pains and bruises. But cage fighting and ballroom dancing on top of that, it's perhaps it's lucky to say that she's been able to keep going as long as she has. And I have every confidence that she would have kept going. It's just a horrible accident. What happened to her? Her broken leg and her fall while at the Omass grocery store. And don't get me wrong, my clients, Omass, and myself have nothing but the utmost sympathy for Miss Oops. We certainly wish no ill will upon her, and we certainly understand that she would want to seek relief, for her injuries. There's been huge medical costs. Anyone would want to try to address these costs, to address the fact that now that there's activities that she's unable to do, activities that she hasn't been able to do for a while here, she has loss of wages. It's certainly reasonable that she would try to seek relief for these things. It just isn't reasonable, and it's not fair, it's not just that she would come to Omass with her hands open like this, seeking relief from my clients. Perhaps it would be reasonable to seek relief from the cage fighting association that she was a part of. It's possible that they didn't guarantee that she was properly healthy so that she could carry on with her everyday activities after such strenuous combat and physical competition. Perhaps she should seek relief from the ballroom dancing company that provided the floor and provided the lessons, gave her the setting in which she could perform her dancing activities. Perhaps they didn't maintain a safe environment, allowing her to become injured to the point to where she could fall down at my client's grocery store or at the church. It's possible that she could even consider seeking relief at the church itself. Maybe they didn't have a floor that was safe. We all know that churches aren't money-making machines. It's possible that they couldn't properly maintain their carpet or their floor, and she fell there. But to seek relief from my clients, it simply isn't right. The evidence, as it is, does not conclusively prove in any way that my clients would be responsible. We've heard testimony from Mr. Jefferson, from Mr. Lincoln, and from Mr. Kennedy, and it is consistent with the logs. It's consistent with company policy. They did everything they could. And there's a certain limit where we have to say, this tragedy happened, but it's outside of the foreseeable circumstances by which we can hold a company responsible. This incident was not foreseeable as it fell outside of everything that a company can do to prevent what is foreseeable. Now, I know it's a lot to digest. I know it's a lot to think about. But I have every confidence in all of you that you'll come to the right decision. You'll come to the just decision. I have faith that you're going to do that. You're going to go back in that room and you're going to carefully think over everything that you've seen, everything that you've heard, and consider what's fair and what's right. And justice is now in your hands. And I think that's exactly where justice belongs, in your hands. And I know I speak for my clients and for myself when I say that I look forward to receiving that right kind of justice. Thank you very much for your time.